Hey everybody, welcome to the Stock Car Spectacle. I'm Ian Jordan,
Nick Kinsel.
I'm Tom Hoblin.
and we just got done with Talladega. It was a wild weekend. We always know it is with Talladega. But before we dig into all that, let's start off with our diecast of the week. Nick, what'd you bring for us today, bud?
So now we're turning our heads to Charlotte, and back in 2014, Trevor Bayne was supposed to run his first Cup race with Roush at Charlotte back when it was the Bank of America 500, and it was with this scheme right here. But unfortunately, he was the lone car in qualifying to not make the race. So
Ugh.
that was a very sour start to what was a 3 or 4 years of hell with Roush over on the Cup side. But yep, this is the beauty right here. They made a couple of tweaks, and then they made this a scheme for him in 2015. I like the scheme a lot. I always like the Advocare scheme, just the basic Advocare scheme. But yeah, this scheme back in 2014 still haunts me. And it was just looking into what it was in store for old Mr. T-Bane at Roush.
Yeah. Oh
Good
man.
times.
All right, Tom, what'd you got for us today?
All right, I'm just gonna keep going down the line of my thrifting pulls that I found, and this one just jumped off the shelf at me. The Dale Jr. Oreo car.
Oh,
Um,
beautiful.
Decided I'm just gonna leave it in the package, but Oreos, Ritz. He ran this at Daytona, I believe. Just a fun little piece, an iconic car, and it was in collaboration with not Roush, Richard Childress Racing. I believe it was the first or one of the first times that juniors went and raced for RCR.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that paint scheme.
Yeah, just iconic. Who doesn't love Oreos?
Oh yeah. All right, so yeah, Nick, you said it. We're going to the Roval this weekend. So this is my only Roval diecast. This is from the 2020 Roval race. This was the Checkers or Wreckers version that they came out with. Noah, he finished like third in that race, and that was the race where it was just downpouring,
Ooh,
raining the whole
Oh man.
time. Miserable race, and Noah wrecked like 5 or 6 times, but he still got a top five finish out of that. So it was cool. Lionel made the checkers or wreckers for it.
What a crazy race that was. That was one of the craziest things that I've ever seen, and I still cannot believe that they raced with that much, with what that weather was that weekend. That was nuts.
And they topped it at Coda.
they just gotten the rain tires kind of dialed in. They wanted to see how far they could take it, and they learned where the line was, and it was about 60 feet back that way.
Real fast. All right, guys, let's get into our top stories. Last week, it was the day after we recorded. Go figure. 2311 and Front Row Motorsports filed a lawsuit against NASCAR. And I think this is a long time coming. It's over the charter deal, and they're saying that basically what the teams are getting is just not fair. The France family is just pulling in big numbers, and the people that are actually putting in the work aren't getting squat.
It is a lot to break down, and for three mere race fans who aren't too much into the legal system, it's going to be a lot to break down. But what really we need to know, it's an antitrust lawsuit. These take a long time to litigate in court, and they're very expensive to run. But who's backing it? Michael Jordan, who makes probably $100 million a day. So, I mean, that's an exaggeration. I don't know what he actually makes, but what that all tells me is that this might take a while. Um, NASCAR still hasn't released a statement. We're a week out, and they really won't have to release a statement, from what I understand, till November if they don't want to, which that is when their first court filing has to go, and it could last a long time. Um, and it's it's going to be interesting to see it. Nobody's stood up to NASCAR like this ever. Um, but hopefully this will be less of little teams coming in trying to start up, running out of money. Hopefully this is better for the fans. Hopefully this grows the teams, because again, I don't know about you guys, but like I'm not watching NASCAR for NASCAR. I'm watching for the drivers and the teams. Um, and what they do on the track. And if NASCAR's going to choke them out so they don't have any money left, then we're going to lose our product. And that's not what we want. So I'm kind of cheering for Michael Jordan to get the teams a lot better deal.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how this is all going to work out and how long this is really going to take. But Michael Jordan said it himself. He wouldn't have done this if he didn't think he was going to win. So I'm very curious to see how this is just all going to play out and what is NASCAR going to do here during all of this. Are they going to like take their charters away during all of this, and then are we going to roll into Daytona with FRM and 2311 as open teams? They said they were going to race if they were open teams anyway. So it's just this is going to be one wild off season. But they got a
Dude,
very good lawyer to do this. So
Jeffrey
I think
Kessler.
yeah.
Jeffrey
Yes.
Kessler introduced the free agency for the NFL. He brought in NIL deals for college athletes. This guy has had a lot of big wins in his career. So
Yeah, he
I'm very
got equal
optimistic.
pay for women for their for the women's national team. So now their pay reflects what the men make on that team. This guy's good at what he does, and he wins. We're not saying he came at brought up all these cases and lost. He wins. So we're gonna have to, and they're making a pretty strong point outright. And I'm sure NASCAR is building a case, and NASCAR is going to find lawyers and whatnot. But what I think is interesting about this whole thing is the other teams and stuff. And I'm kind of glad we had a week to sit on this for our sake, because we got to hear reactions from drivers and team owners that weren't involved. People saying like, "Hey, it made sense for us to sign, but yeah, we were strong armed." Richard Childress saying he didn't have a choice. Kyle Larson making a comment about how drivers' salaries in all of these major sports in America, drivers are the only athletes that over the years their salaries have come way, way down. Mike McDowell, who's on the way out from his team, saying that his team owner is shelling out millions and millions and millions out of pocket just to make ends meet over there at FRM. It's really interesting. A lot of these teams I think, are secretly rooting for it. They signed because they had to. They didn't feel like they had the Jeffrey Kessler of the world behind them. Maybe 2311 approached all the teams and said, "Hey, we're going to do this with or without you." If it goes good for 2311 and FRM, then you'd think all the teams would get a good deal. And if it doesn't go well, then all these teams that signed it did not piss off NASCAR. And
Yeah.
then can imagine if 2311 and FRM lose,
Oh man.
how NASCAR will come down if they're truly the monopoly they say they are. So it'll be interesting to watch for sure, and it's going to take a long time. So we're going to have a lot to talk about for the next. I'm hoping through the next season, of course.
Yeah, this is going to be a very, very long process. So everyone just stay tuned and we'll see what happens, but very worried about just what NASCAR is going to do with their charters. Like obviously, like you said, they're going to
Yeah.
have to pay out of pocket and be try
Mm-hmm.
and run these races every week. So it's going to be pretty difficult. NASCAR is going to put a stranglehold on these guys.
And what can they do while litigation is happening? There could be injunctions that say like, well, hey, these two teams are going to race under the previous charter deal while they figure it out. And how confusing that might be. I mean, the teams are getting a lot more money with the new deal, but they had to sign away a lot of rights and whatnot. They didn't have much time to actually go over it, and they NASCAR is saying our way or the highway will give you a little bit more money. So the team's got a better deal, but is it the best deal for them or for the whole sport?
Yeah. With
We'll
what
find out at
Jeffrey
court.
Kessler's with what Jeffrey Kessler said, he said this was the worst case of like manipulation towards your athletes and like just
Your
taking all
athletes
their
and your
money.
teams and your franchises, yeah.
Mhm. So it's pretty crazy for someone to say that with all of the cases that he's been through in his career, that this is the craziest one that he's seen.
I don't think NASCAR truly knew what they were signing up for or what signed up for them when Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan announced that they were starting a race team. You thought you were just going to get all this positive publicity from having one of the biggest names in the world join your racing league. And just a few years later, they turn around and sue you. They're like, hey, this isn't cool. This is a big sports guy here, and he knows other big sports people. And what you guys are doing is not the norm by a
Mhm.
long shot. That's really interesting. We knew Michael Jordan was going to come in and try to shake things up. They built that beautiful race shop out there, trying to just change the culture. You thought maybe just from the racing team and competition side, but they're trying to change a lot more.
We can try and change the entire
Mhm.
outlook of how
Digging down to
NASCAR is going to be
bedrock.
run. Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. Yep, gonna be wild, boys. So in other news, WeatherTech is going to be signing on for a combined 36 races with Shane Van Gisbergen and Connor Zilisch. We know Shane is going to be running full time in the Cup Series with Trackhouse Racing next year in that 88, and Connor Zilisch will be with Junior Motorsports in the 88 as well. So we'll be seeing dual 88s running the WeatherTech car, and that's cool to see, especially since they're local to us here.
Already seen some merch leaked out on Twitter yesterday. It looked expensive, but yeah, I think I may just cheer for the WeatherTech guys. Um, Not only because he came in and won Chicago the first time, but Zilich is a young prospect showing a lot of talent. But WeatherTech over in Bolingbrook, Illinois, it's local to us. It's kind of cool. Same reason I personally like Justin Allgaier. He's from Illinois.
Yeah,
Races
exactly.
for Illinois brand and whatnot. So
It's rare to find
mhm.
sponsors or drivers that come from our area, so we always got to root for them.
And rare these days to find a sponsor that's willing to commit to that many races.
Yeah.
Really, we're only seeing like Ally and Kroger on the car
Hmm.
consistently every week, and even then, Kroger changes their personal brands every week. So really, you're only seeing the Ally car week in and week out, and I think that's important to establish these drivers as superstars. You want them to be recognizable on the track. And if their sponsors are changing, you can't find your driver from week to week. It's kind of hard for the new fans to be like, well, I like this guy, but I can't find him anymore. Go because he's 1 week he's racing Busch, the next week he's racing Kubota.
Right.
And maybe you have a brand affinity. Maybe you really like, I don't know, car liners, and you want to cheer for the car liners guy. I mean, that's kind of half what sucked me. I mean, kept me going with Kyle Busch as a kid. I was a Kyle Busch fan. I guess he was Kellogg's, wasn't he? So that would have sucked me in.
Yeah.
And then he went to M&M's, and I like candy, so that's how you get them. Maybe kids these days like floor liners for your cars. I don't know. I don't know, but it more so just the sponsorship commitment is really cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so cool to see out of WeatherTech. But guys, let's get into Talladega from this past weekend. We kicked off with the trucks, and it was a rare Friday afternoon. It was like a 3 o'clock start.
No
Um,
lights.
no
Yeah.
lights. We had a full weekend of racing, so they had to go racing in the afternoon. This was the first race of the round of 8 for the Truck Series. William Sawalich, he's one of the younger talents coming up through this field. He won the pole, led the field to green, but poor Ben Rhodes, we know he's in search for another championship, and he fucked up, jumped the start, and he had to do a pass-through penalty.
And he fucked up. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep,
Couldn't have said it better myself.
yep. He Ben Rhodes fucked up. Actually, you know what? He's not even in the
Yeah, he's
playoffs.
not in. Yeah.
Yeah,
Didn't
Yeah.
yeah. I
he?
was thinking he got
He got bumped
eliminated.
last week.
Yeah.
Didn't
So
he jump the start, have to do a pass through, and then he got a penalty
then he was
on his pass
speeding.
through?
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, he had the
Yeah,
blend violation penalty.
yeah,
Oh,
that's
that's
what.
right.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
So
Yeah,
he had to
what
do
a
two
what
pass-throughs.
what a
Yeah,
disaster.
Mm.
yeah, you just get kicked from the playoffs. You jump the start in the first race after, and you get a penalty. Yikes, buddy. That blows. But we had Matt Mills winning stage 1. He's been showing a lot of promise in those Nice trucks. And we had 3 to go in stage 2. We get Sanchez wrecking with Connor Zilisch. That was my pick from last week.
Jeez.
Sucks to see, Connor Zilisch is just trying to get his beak wet with all of these tracks. And It just sucks when it comes up short like this.
For sure, for sure. And like again, with those young guys, you just want them to get experience, and so the more laps they can turn, the better, even if they're not going to be the best at it. But fortunately, the day ends early.
Yep. Grant Enfinger wins stage 2, and then we get Jake Garcia getting turned, wrecking Lane Riggs, Tyler Ankrum, Taylor Gray, and Matt Mills. So we got a few of our playoff drivers involved there. Not what you want to see. Nick, I thought Lane Riggs was going to have another great run this weekend.
I thought he was too. He's just been he's finally proved that he is human. He is back to earth, and the Lane Riggs run could be over. But nah, yeah, it sucked to see.
I mean, you can't be walking on air forever, can you?
Nah, yeah, it was gonna have to come
Yeah,
back to reality for a little
It,
bit
w-
here,
it was
but
our little NASCAR dose of a Linsanity.
yeah.
out of nowhere, where'd it
Rig
come from?
sanity.
Yeah,
All right, and then Grant Enfinger is able to hold on and get the win. Tom, you were so close to getting that pick right.
dang it. Yeah, I switched it up live on you, and I should have gone with my gut. But I mean, how about it? Grant Enfinger sitting at the bottom of the points, vaults his way into the final four. That's how you do it.
Yep.
How
And
about it for that
and
team?
regardless, he had a great points day. Even if he finishes second in this race, he doesn't quite fight to the line. He was still quick in stage 1, got one stage 2. Like it still would have been a great showing for him.
Yeah,
How about
no,
it for
that
the
was
team? That's second year. What is this? His second year in the 9 truck now. Yeah, they're a bit of a smaller team, but they're making it work. And now Grant's going to go fight for a championship. So yeah, you love to see it. He was the man to beat all day long.
yep. He loves super speedway racing and he got it done at his home track too. So pretty damn cool. We'll see Grant Enfinger in the championship 4. All right, guys, let's move on to the Xfinity Series race on Saturday. And surprise, surprise, we had an RCR front row to lead us to green. This team, this team and Front Row Motorsports in the Cup Series, they just know how to qualify on these
Yeah,
kind of tracks. It's crazy.
they're tuned for speed. They're dialed in. They're ready to go fast alone.
Yep,
But you got to run together with the whole pack.
exactly. We had Chandler Smith winning stage 1. Austin Hill wins stage 2. And then we get a bad push from the 26 Dean Thompson, spins our boy SVG,
Oh,
and piles up a few other drivers with Austin Hill, Josh Williams, and Dean Thompson. So
mm.
not what we wanted to see for SVG. We know that he's been trying his best to try and get into the next round of the playoffs, but Talladega chose him to go into the wall, and he's gonna have to fight hard next week at the Roval.
This was a really strange crash from both SVG and was it Dean Thompson that got turned down into him. I mean,
Hmm.
SVG got a little bit out of shape, and I think he did everything he needed to do to collect that car, and he was just going to try to stay out of the way. And then, as they were saying on the broadcast, Dean Thompson kind of checks up, thinking he has to let Shane back in. I don't know if that's a Dean Thompson not knowing the rules, if he's trying to be too nice, but when you get 2, 3 cars back from that, they don't know they can't see what's happening in front of even the spotter. I don't think can articulate what's happening that quickly. And so when Dean Thompson checks up, nobody else does, turns him down. You just hate it for Shane. He was literally out of the way off the racetrack and got collected in a wreck, just trying to save his car.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah,
almost
just
got wrecked going across the nose of the 26, and he was like, "Okay,
yeah.
just stay down here." And then trouble
Hmm.
still found him.
Yeah, I mean that's just kind of this inexperience at these tracks, and even if you're trying to do the right thing, you'll still get sucked up into one, I guess.
Yep, sucks to see, but that is the way Talladega goes. And we had the big one with 3 to go in this race. Brandon Jones, Parker Kligerman, a lot of our playoff drivers here, Cole
Hmm.
Custer, and others involved. After Carson Quapple got a bad push from guess who? Brandon Jones, the guy who cannot
Hmm.
stay out of a freaking wreck.
Hmm.
Now he's wrecking
Lot
his
of
own teammates
lot of
before he
junior
goes back to Joe
motorsports
Gibbs.
cars wrecked again at the end of the race when they're all up towards the front.
Yeah.
You just wish they could be more like Colleague from a couple of years ago and play nice, and give them one of them a chance to win.
Now, Junior Motorsports does the complete
Yeah,
opposite, but
yeah.
I will say this this was kind of good because there was a lot of playoff drivers involved, so there wasn't a
Hmm.
whole lot of points lost. This fight
No,
is still very,
no,
very close coming to the Roval.
for sure, for sure. I mean, again, Shane was probably pretty happy that some more guys got sucked up into this next wreck, just to kind of bring it a little bit closer, and they lost more points on it. Shane's below the cut line, about 10 points. But
Hmm.
again, we're going to a road course, so
Yeah, I think Shane will do good at the Roval. Not much to worry about. But how about Sammy Smith getting the first win of the year? Finally gets it done with Junior Motorsports. It has been a tough season,
Yeah.
but he's able to get it done at Talladega and advance into the round of 8 for the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, talk about a guy who needed this. It has been, like you said, a real struggle for Sammy Smith. I definitely didn't see it coming. I didn't think he was going to struggle this much. Like, he got hot off the gates at Gibbs last year, kind of slowed it down a little bit. But this year, it just has not been good for him. So this one had to feel good, for sure. And now he's got that win, and even more importantly, he's moving on to the next round of the playoffs. So what a great day for the 8 car for a team that really
Don't have to
needed
worry
it.
about the Roval, man.
Yep, don't
they
have
That's
to
the
worry
well,
nice
about the
thing.
Roval.
I was going to say this. They were in a awful points position of the playoff drivers. And so you'd probably think with the likes of Shane and AJ Allmendinger and Cole Custer going to the Roval, they weren't thinking about points going to the Roval. They were thinking about either getting a lot of points here or winning this race. They almost treating this as the must win. This is the cutoff. And they went out and did it. And now they don't have to worry about the Roval. They don't have to worry about getting bumped by Shane Van Gisbergen, who's below the cut line, or Parker Kligerman could figure out the
Yep.
Roval and bump somebody down. AJ Allmendinger's undefeated at the Roval for the past few years. So you're not probably marking, if you're Sammy Smith, who struggled for speed in that car anyway, you're not marking the Roval as somewhere you can just outright go and win. And they have
Right.
to know that coming into Talladega.
Yeah, for sure. Let's take a look at the Xfinity Series standings. We know that Sammy Smith is locked in. Chandler Smith is also locked in as well after this weekend. Very good weekend for him.
Yeah.
Cole
That's
Custer is 37 to the good. Same with Austin Hill. Sheldon Creed's 32. Jesse Love is 22 to the good. Riley Herbst is 20. And then AJ Allmendinger's right there on the cutoff line. He is up 7 points. Then Allgaier's right below that line. We know he's a good road course racer. Hopefully he can come alive here at the Roval. SVG, again, another road course racer. He's 10 below, 13 below for Sam Mayer, and then 16 below for Parker Kligerman. So, guys, this fight is so
yeah.
insanely close. And this is going to be the cutoff race coming here at the Roval. So Sammy Smith, he did himself
the
a service winning at Talladega, because I would not want to have to worry about this.
No,
Holy shit.
any one of those bottom 5 people in the playoff standings can come out and win this race.
Yep.
No question. Any one of those. Maybe Parker has a little bit of question, more so from the equipment he has, but he's still got the skill on the road courses. He takes lesser equipment in the truck series and won at Mid Ohio. So, like, again, AJ Allmendinger, Allgaier, Shane, Sam Mayer, Parker Kligerman could all come back here and steal a win, and that's going to knock out one of those guys up in the top 8, from certain glory. So that'll be interesting. So even if you're plus 22s, you're plus 20, maybe not the most safe here.
Yeah, I'd say the one who I'd be worried about on that, who's above right now, probably Jesse Love in the 2 car, just because he's not the best road racer. And yeah, he's only plus 20, plus 22 right now.
Mm-hmm.
All it takes for really any of these guys, though, is just one mistake, sends you back there, and it's going to be tough to recover from. So this is going to be an absolute dogfight
Yeah.
on Saturday, because you got a lot of good guys who are below right now who are going to do all they can to push their way in. So this is going to be an exciting one to watch come
And
Saturday.
the ones that are below are not super behind.
Yeah.
No?
So I mean, the furthest one away is 16 points. Parker Kligerman runs well in the first stages. He's right up there. But again, any one of those guys can win, and I'm sure they're all going to be going for it. I'm interested to see how they play the strategy. Does Sam Mayer see everybody going for stage points and decide to short pit all the stages and forego stage points to get the track position at the end of the race or something like that? Who knows? I feel like to win that race, you're going to have to do something different than your competitors.
Yeah, no,
But it's
absolutely.
going to come at the sacrifice of maybe scoring points in the first couple bits.
Yeah, it's gonna be one hell of a dogfight. And Austin Hill, we know that he's not even that great of a road course racer. He's only 37 to the good. He has a bad race. These guys have a good race. He
Yeah,
could be done.
yeah, for sure.
It is just crazy to see Justin Allgaier below right now. Just it has not been a good start to the playoffs for them.
It's
Not
been an
keeping their car,
awful year.
just not keeping their car clean. That's just kind of been the story about Allgaier this season. They're so fast. They are so fast. They have race winning cars every single week. It's just they're always finding themselves up in somebody else's mess or a mess of their own. And it just sucks to see that he's below right now, but just gotta go out and get it done on Saturday.
I feel like if Allgaier doesn't get back to Phoenix, this is the season of what could have been. But
Yeah.
if he does get back to Phoenix, think of the redemption he could get from that spring Phoenix race where he was leading by quite a
Oh yeah.
bit and just cut a tire down. So
Yep.
right now we're trending towards what could have been, and that's really tough to watch.
Yeah, it really is hell of a career, but not a hell of a season. I will say that.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, let's move on to the Cup Series race on Sunday. The Yellowwood 500. Michael McDowell, fifth pole of the season, fifth pole of his entire career. This guy has been running in NASCAR Cup Series for over a decade, and this year he has turned into the Rocket Man up
Yeah.
front. It's absolutely insane.
Putting the front row to it up to its name here, front row
Hmm
Yeah, right.
motorsports. So good for him.
Yeah, Todd Gilliland started more up front as well. So front row motorsports is just elite on these super speedways. All right, and we had Daniel Suarez. He had to do a pass-through penalty for unapproved adjustments to the roof of his car. So that sent him back.
I hope that won't
I'm
affect
sure.
his race.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
I don't think anything really kind of comes out of this. But lo and behold, Daniel Suarez spins while getting lapped. He could have gone up top. He could have gone down
Just
low, but this guy decided to take the middle lane
Hmm.
and then tried to get in front of our boy BJ McLeod and was not clear and spun himself. Luckily, he was the only one that was really involved in this wreck. But not a smart move by
oh
Daniel
no.
Suarez, the playoff driver.
We've seen Joey Logano, AJ Allmendinger pull this move off before, and this comes more as like a desperation type of move. You're a playoff driver, you're low in the points, you feel like you have to do something like this, but you forget that the race is long and there's enough of a wake there to pull in at the back and just kind of settle in and get your pass. But for him to just kind of pull up in front of somebody, that's dangerous and scary, and
Yeah.
and he ruined his race more than the pass through penalty did for sure.
Yeah, that's just a move he's gonna look back and be like, yeah, you knew why he wanted to do it, but it just like you said, there just wasn't a need for it. BJ McLeod was probably going 20 miles an hour faster than he was, and there's that closing rate was just it was right there. That wasn't gonna work, and just crazy how that wasn't even that big of a wreck. That could have been really bad, but yeah, just not what Suarez needed to see there because I feel like for him, this was the race he was circling because yeah, he's a good road racer, but the Roval's just different than most other road courses. So this had to be the race he was circling as this is my chance to go score maximum points today and set myself up in a solid position going into the Roval. But that did not happen for Mr. Suarez because that was just not a good move.
Yep. Not a smart move there. But guys, we had four wide racing here, like all around for many, many laps. I thought that was just so much fun to watch these guys just so close 4 wide, and they were just able to hold it together. We had a clean Talladega race, boys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was fun to watch. I mean, I saw a lot of people were complaining about this one, but I enjoyed what I saw. You had comers and goers. Guys were getting up there, guys were falling back. And I would much rather watch what we watched yesterday than watch somebody lead the choo-choo train around the High Line for 80 for 170 laps and then go for it in the last 10. So I
Mhm.
enjoyed what I saw, and I would much rather have what we saw yesterday with the 4 wide than the single file choo-choo train around the top lane of the racetrack. That's not entertaining to me.
Well said.
I thought we saw kind of three different races in the three stages there. But what was most interesting to me about that stage one 4 wide situation is like I saw people towards the back kind of switching lanes and taking runs when they could and moving up towards the front. Kyle Larson, Alex Bowman, they were all able to kind of move up and get to the front of that pack. But yeah, it looked like those parade laps they used to do at the Fontana Speedway,
Yeah.
which is, but again, hitting 200 miles an hour entering the corner, which is insane. And the fact they kept it all clean, good on them.
Pretty damn cool, guys. I don't know. People just like to complain about everything nowadays. That
You
shit
can't
was
make
great,
you can't make them happy.
especially
The
NASCAR
points
fans.
the points they're making are valid where the dynamic of super speedway racing has changed in general where it's a lot about fuel saving and I noticed a lot of the broadcast was focused on, well, how can you pass cars in pit lane? And it's just like even more so recently since the next gen car has shown up, these guys are in less control of their own destiny than even normally they were before, which you kind of hate to see because they're just saving fuel until they come in so they can have a shorter pit stop to try to leapfrog everybody. And I think that's where the frustration is. Yeah, they're running 4 wide now, which we haven't seen with this, but they're still not in control. They're still not able to generate runs. I mean, I know I'm jumping ahead of myself, but very end of the race, Kyle Busch pulls out a line to try to jump a run, but everybody knows it's not going to go anywhere. So then he just kind of falls back behind. It's not that Kyle Busch jumping out of line 10 years ago. Somebody goes with him to try to push him to try to gain spots, but they just know they're not going to gain spots. So they stay in line. And if you jump out of line, then you fail.
Yep. It's just a shame to see that not a lot of people want to go for it. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Buescher won stage one. Martin Truex Jr. spins entering pit roads. Just trying
He's
to have as much
counting
fun as
down.
he. Yeah.
He's counting down. He's so ready to be done.
He just
I
wants to
mean,
go fishing.
that could have been another Toyota disaster like we had in the spring, which would have been crazy for Toyota to shoot themselves in the foot twice, but instead it's just Martin Truex.
Yeah, that's just Martin. We had Austin Cindric winning stage one, but Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney, they all wrecked coming to the line. Not good for those drivers.
Hard wreck,
Hmm.
but they got stage points.
Yeah,
Yeah, they did get stage points
Ryan
while
Blaney
they were
got stage
wrecking.
points.
So
I thought
Ryan Blaney.
Ryan Blaney's tactic after the fact, just to finish more laps, he didn't even try to go down pit road. He knew he would have been kicked off, so he's just turned 3 more laps and then let the car die
yeah,
on the apron. That was all that work for him to still finish 39th.
yeah,
I did not
So
have a good weekend of picks. All three of my picks wrecked out. Not good for me. Not good for me. But yeah, I feel like Ryan Blaney is always taking some hard looks at this place.
yep. He's either winning at super speedways or he's wrecking.
it was kind of weird to see the photo finish with without Blaney a part of it
Yeah,
at
Right?
Talladega.
Right?
right. So we had the big one in Talladega history. This one took out 23 race cars. Absolutely unbelievable. We had Todd Gilliland getting passed while he was getting lapped, and then everyone just kind of piled up. Brad Keselowski got pushed. He gave the 2 car a bad push, and then it was all over from there. Pretty much collected almost everybody. That was one of the most insane wrecks I've ever seen at Talladega because it just looks like a parking lot after that.
I was watching at work, and when they were doing the 4 wide craziness, I was like pointing out to my coworkers. I was like, "Look how insane this is!" And one of my coworkers goes, "Wait, so if one of the guys in the front row crashes, then?" I was like, "Yeah, everybody." And little did I know, at the end of stage 3, I was like, I showed him again. I was like, "Hey, remember when you said this? Well, look what happened. 28 cars, um, biggest in NASCAR history. That's wild. Thank goodness for ARCA brakes, I guess. I don't know." Um, but
Well,
let the
Daniel Hemrick showed those
controversies
ARCA brakes. I'll say that.
let the controversies and the conspiracy theories begin from here, because a lot of wacky things went down after the fact with
Yep.
this one.
Yeah, you guys remember the old DVP rule from a few weeks ago at Watkins Glen when Ryan Blaney crashed, had flat tires. He knew he would be able to fix the car up, put new tires on if they would just bring him down pit road, but they said, nope, you're
You're
done.
done.
You cannot compete anymore. Well, guess what? Same thing happened yesterday with Chase Elliott and Chase Briscoe, except NASCAR brought them back down pit road and let them put new tires on. I
Eh,
There was literally no difference whatsoever with what happened.
Blaney's made sense to me at Watkins Glen. Josh Berry did not make sense to me. This one, I kind of talked about in the past couple weeks. I said NASCAR needs to just bring everybody back to their pit box. If they think they can fix it, then they'll fix it. If not, but you heard Briscoe's crew chief over the radio said, "Do not let them take that net down." And I'm saying, if these guys want to stay in the race, just don't lower the net.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to get out, you're going to get out. But if you want to stay in the race, don't lower the net. And that's what they did, and they kind of forced NASCAR's hand. What's frustrating to me about this is the inconsistency. That with NASCAR sitting in the press conferences last week defending their decision to kick Josh Berry out of the race when his car barely has a scratch on it. Yes, he got tapped, sure, but the car is fine. It's raceable. Those cars were not raceable, and they were allowed to continue.
No, makes absolute zero
Yeah,
fucking
I
sense.
mean,
Josh Berry was kind of being an ass about it to the media yesterday too.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, I
for
would be
good
too.
reason. I would be an
Yep.
ass to him.
Oh
Good
yeah.
God. Good God.
It's,
Like, it's
it's,
ridiculous.
it's just it doesn't surprise me one bit with how inconsistent NASCAR is. It goes one way for somebody and it goes another way for somebody else. It's just this is they got to figure this shit out. Like they really have to come out with an official rule. Like something has to change here because it's just too inconsistent. How we have this. This is now almost 3 races or like three out of our last like 4 races have had issues like this, and now this one. Yeah, this is bad. It's just a bad look, and they gotta figure something out here.
NASCAR can't get out of their own way with this one, though. They're trying to get in the nuance of this rule, and it keeps biting them. When if NASCAR, I don't know, I feel like NASCAR should have just black flagged the 9 and the 14. They're like, yeah, you want to get dragged back to your pit box. Oh, but you can't leave. Ha ha. Joke's on you. Uh, I don't know. Something will change the offseason. This, I 100% believe this will get addressed. But the fact that it's getting inconsistently called
Yeah.
is wild. Then you have these cars, now that you have an overtime finish, you have these cars that for sure will not make minimum speed,
They don't have to.
losing bits and bobs and whatnot, but you have 3 laps to make minimum speed. There's 2 laps left in the race.
Mm-hmm.
So no, you don't have to make minimum speed. So now you're going to artificially pass some of these other guys who are also in the wreck with you that need the points. And
Yeah.
and that's the first problem here. The second problem, they red flag this race.
Mm-hmm.
When it goes back to yellow, they don't start moving the pack again.
Nope.
But it goes yellow and these guys start working on their cars. They're getting free time to work on it, but you're not under duress of going a lap down if the pack is not moving. So Alex Bowman in this wreck, I guess he's able to drive it back to pit road, is now gaining time on the field just because they can work on the car without the threat of going a lap down. He finishes on the lead lap in 16th. Had the field started moving, he goes a lap down. Best he can
Oh
finish
yeah.
is 23rd.
Mm-hmm.
You're telling me 7 points isn't going to matter? 7 points is not going to matter at the Roval here? I don't know.
That's just NASCAR
I don't know.
sucking up
That's,
the
yeah,
Rick Hendrick, man.
that's really bad.
That's
That's,
it's
I
just
mean, there's a lot of cars on pit road that basically got free race time because they put the yellow out, but then didn't move the field. That's a bad look. That's a really bad look.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Mhm.
an interesting off season. Something's gotta change it. We just keep coming back to it. Watch this. This is gonna happen to somebody in the championship four, and then how are they gonna rule it there? It's gonna happen to two guys in the championship four, and then what are they gonna do? How are they gonna rule this? And you just don't know because they're just so inconsistent. One race it's this rule, the other race, no, that's all right. That makes no sense, and it
it
just
all
doesn't
depends
surprise
who's
me.
driving.
It just doesn't surprise me because they are just so NASCAR officiating is one of the most inconsistent officiating in all sports. It's ridiculous how they're always the topic of conversation week after week, and it just shouldn't be happening.
I mean, if you make your season come down to these 3 tiny microcosm seasons, you better have your rule book buttoned up and you better have your enforcing stick ready to go, smacking people's fingers when they try to take what they're not owed. The 9 and the 14, and I'm sure quite a few other. The 42 was out there. He got pushed back. He couldn't move. I mean, yeah, I'm sure their resources were spread thin with so many cars. The design of the car is a problem. If these guys are able to or think they can drive it back, they should be able to drive it back. They shouldn't need to argue or whether or not they need a push or get towed or whatnot. The cars shouldn't be bottoming out like this. There's so many issues, but you better have your rule book and your procedures buttoned out and buttoned up so that we can at least have the resemblance of a fair point system and a fair championship crowning, because this is a bit ridiculous.
Yeah. Honestly, just with everything that's been going on with this lawsuit, the charter deal, the DVP policy, I just don't know how an uprising hasn't started. Besides filing that lawsuit, how have other teams not come out and said, like, yeah, you're treating us unfair? It's getting to the point where it's just getting ridiculous, and NASCAR is just doing things for viewership and just their own liking. It's
Yep.
But
getting
I mean, that's
ridiculous.
that's how it's always been. Nobody knew they could stand up to NASCAR.
Yeah.
And we're still
Well,
not sure if we know they can stand up to NASCAR. But somebody's trying
yeah.
for
I
sure.
just
And
wish more teams came with them because just two, I'm a
mhm,
little worried. But if it was like way more, if it was half the field, I would be very, very optimistic about this.
I feel like a couple things are working in that favor and kind of working against NASCAR is that there's a lot more eyes on the sport in general, just even artificially with cameras and whatnot. You catch people cheating, you do this, that, or the other. Um, and then you have a lot more people. I mean, even like us, who are we to have a show to talk about NASCAR and whatnot? But we still have a platform and have the ability to put out here and talk about what's going on and our opinions of the sport. And there's a lot more voices out there versus how it used to be with Big Bill France before there was Twitter or anything. He's like, you know what, I want to do it this way. And if you want to fight about it, you can write me a letter. But he can just throw those letters in the trash. Now I'm writing my letter on Twitter. I'm writing my letter wherever, proverbially,
Hmm.
and shouting out to the world. And if it gains enough traction, other people are listening. And the teams will be like, hey, yeah, no, this isn't right. Why don't we stand up? We have a lot more leverage now, or so we think. So why not? I truly think it hasn't happened before because there hasn't been quite the movement like this.
Yeah. I remember there was a lot of team owners that were interviewed this past week anonymously, and they were saying, like, yeah, we didn't have the balls to stand up to NASCAR. If we knew that they were doing it, we probably would have. But it's just a shame that NASCAR just basically just twisted their arm. Like, all right, you got this
Mhm.
deadline. You have to do it now, now, now. You're not going to race next year.
And
Well,
I'm curious when NASCAR's books get opened through this process if it's not litigated well. I mean, all this stuff's going to become public. And I'm also curious to know what else comes out about things NASCAR may have pulled in the past that we'd never heard about
Yeah, what are they
at
hiding?
all. What happened 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago? I mean, there's a lot of skeletons in the closet for a lot of these things. Those things that we know about, and I'm sure things we haven't seen with
Yeah.
NASCAR and what they've done.
It's crazy, man. This is
Mhm.
this off season is probably going to be the wildest off season we've ever seen.
Yeah. And yet we still get to see history like 28 car wrecks, which hasn't happened
Yeah.
before. So like that's cool to get us back on track a little bit.
Exactly. We're
So
mad
yeah,
at NASCAR, but we're still watching.
another thing that was pointed out was that Ricky Stenhouse, who goes on to win this race, ultimately is in this wreck too. He gets smacked hard, and apparently there's door foam missing from his driver's side door,
Yeah, you
which you're
can
not
see
supposed
it.
to be able to race without. So there's the third little bit of controversy in NASCAR officiating and whatnot. I believe Jeff Gluck said that Elton Sawyer had no clue. Like NASCAR didn't see that there was foam missing, and it's
They're
a
just
little
they're
bit
not even
interesting.
paying
But
attention to the fucking race
but
anymore.
this race, the outcome of this race could have been very different
Yeah.
if NASCAR catches everything. But it's also hard to catch everything when you got 40 guys out there and 30 of them are screaming at you, push me back, push me back, push me back. You think Ricky Stenhouse's team is like, yeah, push him back. Don't look at my door.
Yeah. Well, if the NFL can keep track of all those
Mhm.
guys on field, NASCAR, a multi-billion-dollar company, should be able to afford to hire 40 guys to watch 40 cars. You know?
Sure. But again, like, it's what if you're taking all the NFL teams that are playing on Sunday and you play them all, they're all playing their game in one stadium. Things are going to slip through the cracks no matter how many people you have. If you have a guy watching every player, things are still going to slip through the cracks there. So NASCAR has a monumental task at hand every week to go into to officiate one of these races. And no, they're not going to get everything right. I mean, hell, the NFL referees don't get everything right.
Oh,
Yeah, so they got 7 guys on the field just watching the play at all times. They don't get everything. They'll miss calls and every once in a while. And a few missed calls are there, but you wish they would consistently make the same calls when they do make calls.
yeah.
Because now again, for 3 weeks in a row, we've had questions about how these policies and whatnot work versus damaged cars and and getting towed back, not getting towed back, flat tires and whatnot. So
Mm.
again, I think that's what the fans are more upset about. It's just like, well, now we've seen it 3 times in a row. You can't tell me that those 3 incidents are exactly the same.
Yeah.
Or you can't tell me, I guess, because what they're saying is those 3 incidents aren't exactly the same when they're all very similar, and it kind of seemed black and white with how NASCAR, especially with what they said about the Josh Berry incident. They're like, well, he was in a crash and he couldn't drive back, so he gets towed back. It's like, okay, well, why wasn't it should have been an easy call for the 9 and the 14. In a crash,
Yeah.
couldn't drive back, done.
Yep. Well, that's why I
So,
brought up that NFL referee
mhm.
comparison because you know it's bad when NASCAR officiating makes NFL refereeing look pretty good. Because this is just straight up ridiculous what NASCAR's been doing with trying to police the sport this entire season.
They're the
Um,
worst at it. They're the worst in all of professional sports at it.
yep.
New rules,
Well,
new shit every single week.
yeah.
But hey, in this 28 car crash, we also did not see anybody flip over. And there were a couple cars that tried. So the few aero things that they were featuring throughout the race that said NASCAR did, maybe they worked, maybe they just weren't in the right circumstances to flip, but everybody stayed
Yeah.
on the ground.
But that's good. It was nice seeing a super speedway race without any flips. But guys, so Ricky Stenhouse won, non-playoff driver. Let's look at our Cup Series standings going into the Roval, the cutoff race of the round of 12. William Byron locked himself in this
Impressive.
past weekend. Yeah,
Impressive.
he had a slumpy summer, but he has come
Yeah,
alive in these playoffs. It's good to
yeah, he
see
was
a little
one.
Willie B.
He was the one that I had out in this round, so he proved me wrong right there.
And then Christopher Bell at plus 57. You can only score 60 points in a Cup Series race. And so the only person that could potentially knock Christopher Bell out is Joey Logano if he wins both stages and the race, which I find very hard to believe that Joey Logano is your guy to do that. So Christopher Bell's most likely safe. Probably Kyle Larson too.
Yeah, Kyle Larson's 52 up. Denny Hamlin 30 above.
Now this is a big
line.
one. That's a big one because Denny Hamlin, he was in the back again when this big one came out, but this time luck was on his side.
He allegedly had lost the draft.
Yeah, lost the draft, and he missed that wreck, and he goes from the outside and out. He is in, and he's got a pretty good cushion coming into the Roval this weekend, where it could have been. I mean, it could have been panic time.
Denny Hamlin, he talks all week about. He's like, "Well, I screwed up in Atlanta. I need to be aggressive this race." And he was trying to race at stage 1, finished 23rd. Trying to race at stage 2, finished 16th. So he was not aggressive. He got sent out early to the back of the pack by no choice of his own. He gets in the wreck at the end of stage 2, gets damaged, loses the draft in stage 3. 28 car wreck saves him. Parks that thing in 10th with a 30-point cushion. He's a lot more comfortable. And again,
very, very lucky.
After the Roval, those next 4 tracks are Denny Hamlin tracks.
Oh yes.
Yep. He's just got to survive the Roval. We know he's not one of the best road course racers, especially the Roval. It's just a whole nother beast. But stay alive,
has to have
he'll be good.
Comfortable day. Have a comfortable day.
Yep.
Right around top 10, top 12, you're good to go.
Well, again, he can play the points game at the end of stages too. Everybody's pitting for the win. He can come out and get 5-6 points, and he'll be pretty comfortable after 2 stages. Yep. So his job got a lot easier.
Bowman's up 26 points. Blaney is up 25.
Both good road racers.
Yeah, both really good road racers. So stay out of trouble, do your thing, and maybe 2 guys in front of you will wreck, and then you can take another win, Blaney. Need Jimmy Johnson back out there.
I mean, who knows where some of these below the cut line people will end up in the final laps. Austin Cindric could find himself towards the front at the end of this race. And what is he willing to do to move on to the round of 8?
Briscoe got his first Xfinity Series win at the Roval.
Yeah, Briscoe's a solid road racer.
Mm-hmm.
What is he? We've seen what he's willing to do at the end of a road course race.
I would say look out for Daniel Suarez, but that 99 has just been so slow in the playoffs, man. I just don't have any trust. If it was last year, I would put Daniel Suarez as probably your winner for the Roval. But right now, I mean,
Trackhouse just isn't having the speed.
They're gonna have to get off sequence. They're gonna have to try something because they're gonna have to go against everybody else. They're gonna have to have their own strategy, because the speed's just not there. And this is a very unique road course. This isn't your traditional road course like a Sonoma or the Glen. This is unique in its own way, and I just don't think they have the speed to get it done. So they're gonna have to try and do something crazy.
And I truly believe that all these people above the cut line are going to stay out at stages to shore up their points position, which means that less points will be available for Suarez. So he's probably going to pit at these stages and forego points altogether and go for that track position and go for that win. So,
Totally agree. All right, guys. Well, before we take our break, let's spin the wheel to make our picks for Charlotte Roval. So I made us a little wheel here. It's got all of our names on here. It might be hard to see on here, but I will be fair. I'm not going to be making these things up. So we'll spin.
Are we doing one for each series?
You're going to pick first for all 3 if you go first.
Oh, this is big advantage.
All right, first one to pick is me.
Oh,
you can see
this wheel's rigged.
So, yeah. All right, and let's see who is going to be going second. If you can see,
wheel spins forever.
Yeah, it does. You can find a way if I can slow it down.
Oh. Ian again. Oh, it's Nick.
All right, Nick goes second, so Tom will be going
Bollocks.
last. So
Bollocks.
guys, when we come back, we'll be making our Roval picks. So stay tuned. All right, guys, welcome back. We are going to be making our picks for the Roval this weekend. We got the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series both running here. For the Xfinity Series, we got the Drive for the Cure 250, 155 miles, 67 laps. Stages 1 and 2 are 20 laps each, and the final will be 27. Last year's winner was Sam Mayer. We know this kid is damn good on road courses. Some notables we got in this one. Sage Karam, he'll be in the 07 for SS Greenlight Racing. Josh Bilicki will be in the 19 for Joe Gibbs Racing. Eric Almirola will be in the 20. And Connor Mozak will be running in the 88 for Junior Motorsports. So, Nick, we'll start off with you, bud. Who is going to be your pick to win at the Roval on Saturday?
I'm gonna go with a guy who very experienced road racer, and he loves this place a lot. He is the king of the Roval down here in Xfinity Series. Give me AJ Allmendinger. For the Dinger, it's been a up and down season. Definitely did not. He got up to that slow start. I don't think anybody else of us really expected that with how good he's been down in the Xfinity Series. It's been a rough go of it for him, but now he's going to a place he knows very well, a place he's very fast at. I think him and Shane are going to be very fast, but I'm going to go with Allmendinger just because he has a little bit more experience. He's got more experience here running this course than Van Gisbergen does. So give me AJ Allmendinger is going to go to victory lane, punch his ticket into the next round of the playoffs.
I mean, AJ Allmendinger hasn't lost an Xfinity Roval race in like 3 years. So, or maybe 4 years. I can't quite remember the stat, but it's ridiculous.
He's damn good there, though.
Yeah. So if I had the first pick, that's where I'd be going for sure.
Yeah.
Well, Tom, who was your pick?
I think it's going to come down to some dramatic late race restarts and some people pulling some desperate moves. And I think it's going to come down to somebody below the cut line who, if they were not in the lead, would not move on to the next round. So Sam Mayer, Junior Motorsports, got his first career win at Road America. I think he's going to clutch it up and pull in a victory lane on Saturday.
Yeah, that is definitely the guy that I would expect to go back to back. He loves the Roval, man. All right, so my pick, I gotta go with good old Shane Van Gisbergen. Anytime we go to a road course, he should always be on your radar. This guy has almost won every road course in the Xfinity Series this season, but just came up a little short. But I think he's going to do well and advance himself into the round of 8 of the playoffs. This is what he really needs here.
Yeah, talk about the guys that are below the cut line right now with Shane. They're all going to be sweating because they know that this is Van Gisbergen. This is his bread and butter, and he is going to be fast. So they have all got to be fast.
All right, guys. Well, let's move over to Sunday for the Bank of America 400 at the Roval. 253 miles, 109 laps. Stages 1 and 2 will be 25 laps each, and the final will be 59 laps. Last year's winner, AJ Allmendinger. Like we said, this guy knows how to get it done at the Roval in the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series. He's going to be running this race in the 16 for Colleague, and same with his teammate Shane Van Gisbergen in the 13 for Colleague Racing. So, Tom, we'll start off with you Sunday.
Wait, whoa. They're switching numbers? Shane's run the 16 all year.
Yeah.
That's
I thought that was pretty weird.
That's really weird.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
I don't know why they did that, because they both ran Talladega this past weekend, and now they're going to be switching the numbers.
That's goofy. Anyway, whatever. Okay, cool. Anyways, I'm thrown off now. Who am I picking?
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. I think we are going to see the cream rise to the top. I think we're going to see some wacky points racing done here for some people to shore up their stuff, and other people going for wins and whatnot. But I think Tyler Reddick is the guy to pull one off here. Solid on road courses, been struggling the past couple weeks. Crashed out of Talladega, didn't really show up to Kansas. I just can't fathom the regular season points champion not going to the round of 8 at the very least, and therefore I think he's going to try to get a win to get his confidence back.
Yeah, that's one of the safest picks. He's one of the best road course racers in this series.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Nick, who you got winning at the Roval on Sunday, bud?
I'm gonna go with the guy. 2 years ago, he needed to win this race to advance into the next round of the playoffs. And I'm just gonna. He's just been very good at this track. He's been very good on the road courses as well. It's been a rough couple months for this guy, and he could sure use a win right now. I'm going with the 20 car of Christopher Bell. He, like I said, very good at these kind of racetracks, and he's just one. He's just a guy who could use one right now. 2 years ago, it was all about the walk off wins for Bell that propelled him into a championship 4 appearance. But he's very strong, and yeah, he just could use one right now. And I think if he wins this race on Sunday, watch out going forward with the rest of the playoffs. So give me Seabell returning to victory lane at Roval.
And like
I
we
like
said with Christopher Bell, there's really one guy that can threaten him, and it's not going to be threatening. So Christopher Bell, I expect to be one of those guys to bail on points for this race and go for that win, get in position to be the winner. And I think that'll work in his favor.
Yeah, big time. I got to go with a guy who won here a few years ago, and he pissed me off with not even wrecking my driver Kevin Harvick at the Roval. But fuck Chase Elliott, I'm going with that number 9. We know he's good at the Roval. We know
What a
he's good at
wild
road
way to form
courses.
your pick.
Yeah, I still say fuck Chase Elliott, but he's my pick to
He's
win.
he's gonna win. Fuck him.
Fuck him.
Fuck him, that's
Exactly.
Man, all right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what have we been saying about him all year? Quietly consistent. He finds his way to the front at the end of the races, and it'd be a
Chase
good
Elliott is dangerous late in the playoffs.
Mhm,
He always
mhm.
is.
Iconic moment, wrecking and then winning
Yeah.
a couple of years ago, and
And then he
parking
went and did the burnout right
burning
there.
out right in the spot where he wrecked. Iconic images. Classic.
Yep.
Do you guys think the Roval still has a place in NASCAR or in the playoffs?
No,
No.
it doesn't belong in NASCAR whatsoever. Just because we've seen how amazing the mile and a half racing is,
Hmm.
why are we not doing it again in the fall? Why are we not
Yeah,
repeating what we saw at the 600? And we got so many normal road courses that were made for road racing that we're just not using. I would love to see us go to somewhere like Road Atlanta or was that one road course that Indy runs in northern Alabama? Um
Oh, Skip Barber.
yeah, Skip Barber. I would love to see those tracks over the
Hmm.
Roval because I feel like the gimmick is over. It was cool for the first 2 years and now it's
Right.
uh,
It was an
yeah, I never.
answer. It was an answer to a problem where the intermediate was not good in the Gen 6, and now we're in Gen 7. This car is too good at something like this,
Right.
and it now solves a problem we no longer have. Um, and so I personally would like to see it go, and get back to our roots of circle track racing.
damn straight.
Yeah.
But not like that. If we have to have road courses in the playoffs, Watkins Glen is great. Yeah, we can go check out another one of those. Go to Virginia and
Yeah.
race there where they do all the road course testing. Anyway, we know cup cars run on that track. So if we need to have them, but the thing is, NASCAR owns this, and it's their little baby. It's in their backyard. They can do what they want with it.
Yeah, I never was a fan of it from the start. I know that the intermediate racing wasn't what it is now back then, but I would love nothing more than to have Charlotte get its second date back on the traditional oval. Give me the Bank of America 500 again. That was just such a fun race, starting the day under the lights. Yeah, that's what I want back. But like you said, this is NASCAR owns this, so I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon. Unfortunately, it just sucks because Charlotte definitely deserves two oval dates, and I would love to see them get rid of this Roval, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah, and the thing, there's evidence, and I don't know if this plays into it, but NASCAR changed the layout, as we know, coming into this race. So the infield's a little different, and they're gonna run longer, carry more speed out of 4, 5, and 6, and then turn 7, which turns you back into NASCAR 1. It's a tight 180-degree hairpin. So I think it's to help create passing zones, but it could be more of a chaos point where towards the end of the race, people are just running each other down. But is this repave more in search of solving a problem about a bad car, or is it NASCAR saying, "Hey, we want the Roval. We're going to stay. We're going to invest in you guys to reconfigure your track"? Um, I I'm not sure I can answer that. I guess we'll see how it goes. I think the juxtaposition of that turn 7 hairpin into the chicane on the backstretch will be interesting. If you rough somebody up a little bit, they may just give it right back to you in the chicane. That might create some moments. But I don't know. I don't think this car is gonna. I don't think that repave is gonna do too much to
All it's
help the
gonna take
product.
All it's going to take is one moment down there, one crazy moment, even if it comes at the end, and then they're going to be like, "Yup, we love this. This is for sure going to be staying for the foreseeable future
Hmm.
going forward." All it's going to take is one moment like that. Like, say this somehow goes to overtime, and then you got a leader getting spun right before going back into NASCAR one. That's all it's going to take, and that's going to show them right there that, yep, we want this, and it'll stay.
Yeah, that turn coming back into NASCAR one is, I feel like that's going to be way more treacherous than what we've seen with like the heartburn turn into turn one of the road course, you know? Seen so many guys pile up in there, and you're going to be going at some
Hmm.
pretty high speeds before you go into that corner into
Yeah,
NASCAR
they've
one.
straightened out the infield a lot.
Hmm.
So I think that's kind of what they're wanting though, is carry more speed in that corner, try to force some of the mistakes, which again is part of the flaws of this car. It's too easy to recover from a mistake.
Right.
Um, I think the chaos will be mitigated a little bit for the fact that it is turn 7, it's not turn 1. So we're not coming from restarts. They won't be so stacked up, but at the same time, the back of the field will still be pretty all over each other. Um, and we know how these guys get. When these restarts, they go for anything they can. Um, we're going to see some hurt feelings, and you just hope it doesn't really affect the playoff guys, playoff strategy, this, that, and the other.
Oh, Tom, it will. It will for sure. This
Uh,
is the Roval. This is the cutoff race going into the round of eight. We're going to see some wild racing this weekend, especially
I hope
with
so.
that new turn. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Roval has always been on my list of, okay, it's a Roval. Let's just get through with it. But this weekend now, I'm a little bit more interested with how this is gonna go with that
Yeah.
repave.
I'm also curious how the Xfinity cars will handle it, because like the Cup cars are made to do something tight like this, and obviously like the Xfinity cars can handle the street course, which was really brought in because of the next gen car. So, but just seeing how they handle it differently, and I really think the Xfinity race is going to be so compelling with who's below the cut line and all those talented guys really gunning for it. But yeah, the repave will definitely be the big storyline headed in there. Obviously, these are cutoff races, so that's the big storyline too. But how the repave affects it all, um, will create a big difference as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Gonna be a wild weekend to finish off this round of 12 for the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series. So, guys, before we end the show, any last pointers before NASCAR heads to their backyard?
I got nothing to say.
Yep.
It's yeah.
Get
Hopefully,
ready.
There's gonna be hurt feelings. Gonna be some
yeah,
hurt feelings at the end of this one, and that's all we can hope for because we're coming up into such a great round of eight coming up, and I'm just very excited for that.
and I hope NASCAR calls a perfect game, no balls and strikes missed.
Ugh.
so we don't have to talk about procedures next week.
Oh, we
Oh,
will.
get ready for it. Get ready for it.
Something controversial is gonna happen
A boy
yet
can dream,
again.
right?
Right? All right, everybody. Well, thanks for tuning in to the Stock Car Spectacle. If you haven't yet, make sure to like our video, subscribe to our channel, check out all of our links down below to our Twitter and Instagram accounts. So yeah, that will be it for us, guys. Enjoy the Roval for the Stock Car Spectacle. I'm Ian Jortson.
I'm Nick Kinzel.
I'm Tom Hoblin.
We'll see you guys next time.